Or again. I know it's been like before today. It's been almost like 3 weeks since I've done this, but watching the videos on the new study and being able to gauge like just how real this is, very very interesting. Shared hallucination, it is not. But like I told you earlier, this all goes back to something every one of us did pre 2,000 years ago. All right? Rap, you might even say, now, you know what? You might even say 1,500 years ago is really when this changed. You could possibly say 1,500 years. But for sure, 2,000 years at the very least. So, if the title drew you in, if it's just like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Think about it this way, right? We've talked about this kind of ad nauseum, right? We've talked about this kind of ad nauseum at this point. Pre 2,000 years ago, there were potions, there were elixirs, concoctions. They had a bunch of different names for it, guys. They had a bunch of different names for it, but believe you me, from the time you were itty bitty, you would participate in these rituals. And this isn't just something that is pagan, right? It might be pagan in nature. It might be pagan in nature, but this is something that you were like 3-4 years old between 2,000 to 1,500 years ago, 3 and 4 years old, and they would give you hallucinogenics to show your way in life. Did you guys know that? Did you guys know that? So, do you get the meaning of the title of my live stream now? Like, would you allow, like, put yourself in like a traditional sense and imagine what they were doing. And these are things that even early Christians were doing, ladies and gentlemen. Put yourself in that position. If that was still held onto today, imagine that. 3 or 4 years old, you would take your child into your temple, into your church, into your mosque, into whatever, and they would literally sit them down and they would trip balls. These are the roots of all of us. These are our roots. And the more you guys want to say that you're more civilized than yesteryear and everything else, I ask you to ponder this. Why was that way of life taken away? Why was there so much knowledge lost in having us all go through these rituals? That only now, only today, if you're rich or have some influence or some power, you can put on these trials. Because keep that in mind, all right? These consciousness exploring little dipping toes in the water of alternate realities and everything else, these are things our ancients knew as soon as they were born. They were made to take psilocybin and other mind-altering substances when they were still a toddler. Now, a lot of people will come at that and say barbaric, but if you know anything about the study of psilocybin and the study of microdosing, it is shown that it increases your mental capacity, it increases your intelligence, it increases everything, awareness, cognizance, everything. Now imagine somebody starts not just microdosing, but full on dosing, right? Full on dosing from the time you're a child, because you do this ritualistic thing every time you go to church back then. Every time. So once a week from the time you're a child, you are tripping your fucking ass off. Tripping your fucking ass off. Imagine that. Now imagine tripping your ass off once a week from the time you are 3 or 4 until the time you're 40. How mentally acute, how mentally aware, if you are not burned out off this shit, right? Because, you know, there are ways to go both ways. Like we like to preach around here. Balance, everything in moderation is not bad. It's when it becomes self-dependency, it's when it becomes that crutch, that addiction, that everything seems to kind of spiral out of control. They knew about this back then. If you look at it, like, they wouldn't let you do this all the time. Like, yeah, they would make you do it when you're a child, but everybody's under supervision. And it's from people that understand the process, so they know where to send the soul, the consciousness, how to align with that. Now let's fast forward to today, so you understand why we're talking about this, right? So they just did a study at, I think it's Imperial University, Imperial College, right? I talked about it earlier. Small case study, 11 people, like I said, dipping your toe in to see if they can maintain high levels of DMT for longer than 15 to 20 minutes, right? Because 15 to 20 minutes is about the max, and then you're bounced out of there. What they have found, again, it's a small dipping to see if they can go in and do a full case study on it. But what they have found, ladies and gentlemen, is there is a way to hold your DMT levels high enough so you can get an hour, a few hours. And it is being documented now, scientifically documented. The longer you're there, the more accustomed you are to it, the more you don't want to come back, right? Your consciousness naturally feels at home. It feels weird, but it feels weirdly familiar, is what everybody logs it in as, right? So I posture this to you. Were our ancients, were our family members actually communing with the other side once a week their entire lives? Kind of seems like it. And the more I go down this rabbit hole, the more it shows that all peoples, all customs centered around this at one point. Everybody was doing this. It didn't matter what corner of the world you came from. So, again, I postured this. What was it about Christianity that made them want to take away this tidbit of knowledge, this tidbit that they would allow children to participate in? And they actually had a range of, they can start between this and this. This is when they can start handling it. It's very... I'm starting to think this is where all of our concepts of gods and deities and entities and jinn and everything else come from. Like, yeah, they might be real, but they're real in ethereal sense, right? You have to do the DMT and you have to go into that realm, right? And it's only through that realm that you're able to touch the divine. You're able to see the visions. Because remember, pre-Christian institution, everyone had an oracle. That oracle was fed with hella doses of psilocybin. And would come back with these visions. Everybody. And up until about 1,500 years ago, 2,000 to 1,500 years, somewhere in there, Christians were still using this oracles, drugs, yes. Why was it taken away? Why was our connection to the divine deliberately, specifically severed? Why did they not want us knowing about this anymore? Why did they not want us accessing this anymore? Why did they want us only accessing our, whatever you want to call it, salvation, whatever you believe in? Why did it need to only be accessed through the church at that point? Very, very weird things. If this whole DMT realm is not a shared hallucination by everyone, right? It's logged at this point by psychonauts and a bunch of different people. It's real at this point. So one has to posture, one has to ask, one has to just speculate. This is where everything comes from. That ancient knowledge, that ancient access to the divine, everything was done through psychedelics. Everything. So, could it be, again, we're posturing here, because this unfolds as science and discovery unfolds, right? So I'm posturing here. What if the DMT realm is where we go when we die? And what if we already have a deep knowing of this? We can call it God, we can call it heaven, we can call it whatever we want, right? But what if we automatically have a deep knowing of this, and that's actually where we go? This has been on my mind all day long since I read all that stuff and watched it yesterday. All day long. Why? Well, I kind of already know why. But it's more for you guys to sit back and think about. What kind of truth did they want to keep from us by cutting us off from that realm? I think I'll leave it at that for tonight.